Boys are here. Broadcast journalist Mike Parry. There he is. Oh, he's got his hat on.
Oh, my word.
Very good hat. He's got the GB News branding. And Stephen Pound, the former Labour, who's not got his branding.
Oh.
He's got his hat as
Gosh,
well.
I think we need some
Very
of these,
good.
Andrew.
Why haven't they given us one of those hats?
I don't know.
Well, we bought them, actually.
Did you buy them? Yeah, they don't give anything away here, I can tell you. Now, boys, what are you talking about?
Well, look at the situation regarding the Chancellor. I mean, if she thought she was in enough trouble to burst into tears in the House of Commons just a few weeks ago, I think you're going to find there's going to be an ocean of tears coming shortly.
Not least from the country.
In the country. Now, you know the old joke about how do you make yourself a small fortune?
You start with a big one.
Walk into a casino with a big one.
Yeah.
So, £22 billion deficit, allegedly, black hole, which none of us agreed with.
Well, even the Office Budget Report said it was less than 10.
Exactly. And usually that's sort of swap over money from one government to another and their aspirations on spending, OK? You get that. She's managed to turn 10 into 50 billion quid's worth of debt, dragging the economy down as though there was a huge weight wrapped around it. It's a disgrace, Stephen, and I bet you're ashamed to have ever been a member of the party that is now going to bankrupt this country.
Yeah, 5p in the pound. This financial report says, this think tank says it could be up to 5p in the pound on basic and top rate of tax.
The key expression.
Every Labour government runs out of our money. It didn't take this lot's run out in less than
Andrew, the key thing
there
is could be and is estimated. Look, there's two or three things which nobody knew was going to happen. Nobody knew that we were going to have to spend up to this incredible additional money on defence. Nobody knew that the Trump tariffs...
didn't have to. That was his choice. That was the Prime Minister's political choice.
It wasn't. I'm sorry.
Yes, it was.
It was no choice.
It was.
The nation has to defend itself. There's no choice there. We were under threat and we had to spend money on defence. We had to increase our expenditure on defence. No question about it. Nobody anticipated that Trump...
But we're not going to, because the 5% is not going to come until the middle of the 2030s.
Exactly.
It's so far away.
It's already started.
Everything's a pipe dream in this government. Everything is an absolute blinking pipe dream.
What we've done is we actually listened to GB News and cut some of the overseas development money and actually transferred that to...
I'm not disagreeing that isn't a good thing to do, but
that's not enough.
These amounts,
it's not
exactly,
enough.
they are tiny compared to the order of magnitude of money that we are overspending by each year.
And somebody pointed out the money we're spending on interest alone.
50 billion is the defence budget, 100 billion is the repayments.
Or two-thirds of the NHS spending. That's what your Chancellor is wasting our public money on.
Andrew, it's not fair to blame that on Rachel Reeves. This is long-standing debt. But this is long-standing debt that previous governments, especially, I'm afraid,
Miriam,
did not protect against interest rate increases. I totally disagree.
The role of the Chancellor when she gets in is to look at the books and say, this can't go on.
If a quarter of your debt is on this short-term repayment that's not protected against inflation, there's nothing you can do.
Yes, there is. You can cut government spending.
I'm sorry.
You can cut government spending.
There's nothing you can do to change the interest payments.
You're a big admirer of Tony Blair, obviously, because in 1999 he paid off the national debt. We cleared the debts. We cleared the payments.
Yeah, but that's because the Tories had left him with a surplus budget. Left him with a surplus budget. Look, I mean, the spending is so out of control. It's utterly ridiculous. And did you know that the loans to the government from the banks, are 1% higher? 1% higher than they were when Liz Truss was supposed to have smashed the economy. And now there's so little confidence in this country that the bondholders are charging 1% more.
The terrifying thing is, what we've got is debt as a percentage of GDP, and we're right up in the 90s now.
Nearly 100.
Exactly. Well, that is up.
Put this in layman's terms. This report is saying that our income taxes could go up by 5p in the pound.
Unbelievable.
Pensioners, small businessmen and women, that is eye-watering.
It could. And don't forget, Rachel Reeves has actually said that she's committed herself not to raising personal income tax. Now, she's in a terrible position. I entirely agree with you.
No, the country's in a worse position.
The thing is, we know there's one thing that we absolutely have to do, and that is actually cut the welfare expenditure. We can't have the situation where 1 in 4 of us is on benefits.
You just had an opportunity to cut welfare, and the Labour MPs killed it.
And the House of Commons wouldn't wear it.
And the Labour MPs wouldn't wear it. The Tories would.
And there's 10 million people in this country
economically... No, the Tories voted against it.
Economically very inactive. Yeah. And the other thing I want the government to answer the question is this. How come there's 100,000 more civil servants in this country now than there were before COVID? I just don't get it. How can 100,000 people working and doing nothing possibly be advantageous to the economy?
You've got to ask yourself, what is the... Do you know the police count in those figures? Do you know the armed forces count in those? They are all civil servants in those figures.
Not in Whitehall, then.
No, that's a different matter.
Figures in Whitehall.
That's a different matter.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to something slightly more...
Something less contentious.
Yes, something less contentious. Yes. Something slightly more rural, because Kemi Badenoch is claiming, in the Daily Express, they're reporting this, that Labour is conducting an assault on rural life. Of course, there were the changes to inheritance tax, lots of complaints from farmers. Stephen, do you think Labour can do anything to win back the rural vote?
It's going to be slightly difficult, but at the moment, let's face it, farmers pay half the inheritance tax that you and I pay. You know, they get subsidised diesel, they get a whole load of benefits. What the government should have done more sensibly is to say, what we want to do is, Jeremy Clarkson quite rightly said, you remember when he bought his farm, he said, I'm buying it because it's a really, really good wheeze. Yeah. There's a lot of these people who bought these huge farms.
Well, find them and give them a different set of rules to the ordinary farmer.
What I'm saying, the small, particularly I'm thinking of the Welsh Hill farmers and people like that, the small farmers, there should have been an exemption for them. But the great big barley barons who are making millions, they should be paying tax.
But there's very few of them.
They are paying tax.
The average farmer...
they're paying half what you and I pay.
The average farmer on his farm, a one-farm man, the average income he takes in for him and his family, working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, is about £28,000. Now, how on earth is that family going to pay death inheritance duty if the farmer dies? And he could die falling under the wheels of his combine harvester. It's a dangerous... And
don't forget, the other thing is...
Dirty job.
Right, unlike the three of us, or four of us, they actually get 10 years to pay the inheritance. So they pay half
Steve,
of what over 10 years. It's not a bad deal.
With pears, though, because you're saying these farmers pay half the amount of inheritance tax, but we're not talking about farms as private estates. They are going concerns. And if you own a different type of business, you do get to pass that business on tax-free.
No, you don't.
So actually, they're making the wrong comparison.
Not if you run a corner shop, you still pay 40% if you want to pass that on to your kids.
And also, Stephen, if your farm's worth £1 million... and you're earning £28,000 a year, how on earth are you going to pay the first year's money anyway? The £100,000 you'd owe in the first year.
It's up to £3 million.
And by the way, we also know that farmers, and they know more about running a farm than we do, are so desperately worried, some of them have committed suicide.
No, not one person has committed suicide.
I'm sorry, a coroner...
One person died before.
Hang on, a coroner has referred to an inquest into the death of a farmer, which he linked it to the farmer's worry about the inheritance tax. That is on the record.
But let's get the key thing here. Kemi Badenoch has made this a great big sweeping attack on Labour's policy. There's one thing missing from this. What on earth is Kemi Badenoch proposing? She said her grandfather was... There's nothing coming from her.
The Tories are not in power.
It's easy to attack.
No. That's her job. She's leader of the opposition.
You're
not in power. Can I ask you a more prosaic question? What do you buy about Kemi Badenoch's idea that she's an Essex girl?
Essex girl.
Well, she's also said her grandfather was a farmer.
Yes, well, she's claiming Essex heritage. She is the MP for Saffron Walden.
Right.
What's incredible?
I've never seen her
an Essex girl.
Never seen her in a pair of white stilettos.
Right.
OK, so that to me means she's not an Essex girl.
Be careful where you're going with this, Stephen Pound, because we know we have to rein you in sometimes.
I've never seen her in Basildon on a Saturday in what they call Las Vegas.
She was actually born, of course, in Africa, but she was
she was born in London.
She was born in London, and then went to
Nigeria.
But she brought up in Wimbledon, mainly. But do you buy the fact she's an Essex girl?
Gosh, well, where are we all from? I mean, she's from Nigeria, but she represents Essex. I mean...
But, I mean, you can become adopted as an Essex girl. But Stephen, I want you to tell me this as well, and tell me honestly.
I'm a Yorkshire
Isn't it true that Labour hate anything to do with the country?
Mike, don't be ridiculous.
I'm sorry. So they're big fans of fox hunting, are they? They're big fans of the landed gentry. They're big fans of people who've got country mansions and estates because people have worked hard to go and buy them.
I'm sorry,
they
Mike,
hate all of that.
Mike, you can always speak up for
envy, malice and spite.
You can speak up for the fox hunters and those people in countries. A lot of people in the country have got no time for fox hunters, the unspeakable in pursuit of the uneatable, jumping over people's fences and gardens. I'm sorry, there's plenty of people
I wish they'd kill a few more foxes. Ghastly, horrible creatures.
Well, it is part of the country way of life, which people in Islington... People in Islington...
Stephen, you cannot say incest is part of the country way of life.
It's true, Stephen. You probably hate country life as well, don't you?
I withdraw that. Thank you very much.
Labour associate the country with rich people for some unknown reason.
It is a class war. I think you've nailed it.
War.
Yeah.
And on that note...
And white class war too.
Well, absolutely. But if you're a farm labourer living in a tight cottage, right, earning about 14 grand a year, you tell me you're rich and privileged.
Indeed.